but again, I'm just trying to give you guys every possible scenario here. It's better we have a blow off top, I do believe, come Q3, Q4 of this year, than some sort of mid-cycle double top, if you will. Now, also the CBBI indicator here, this aggregates a whole bunch of very reliable and accurate indicators to time the top. This is not at the score it needs to be worried right now. This is tracking just fine. We need to see dark red on this line here. We are just orange right now, / slightly red. Now, again, if we look at Bitcoin's dominance as well, just to remind you guys, Q1 in the previous cycle here, where we started in January, we kind of topped out, we came up, and then we came down before chopping sideways. So we had like kind of this inverted cup and handle, if you will, and that same thing I think has played out recently. We kind of had a little top just slightly about a few weeks off the start of January, so very, very similar to the last cycle, and hopefully we come up and then come back down again. It'll play out something similar like this. We might also see something a little more akin to this. Again, it could be the opposite way around. We could see something like this, but either way, I do think sometime in Q1 and especially in Q2, like in the previous cycle here, we will find the floodgates open up for altcoins here once Bitcoin dominance begins to fall a little bit. And I did just want to show you guys as well in terms of like moving averages. I did find a bit of a pattern as well regarding when some of these ribbons cross over each other. This is basically the 200-day, the 2-year, and the 4-year moving averages. So very, very long-term moving averages here. And what I found was when the 200-day crossed over the 2-year, what happened was that pretty much signaled the bottom of each cycle pretty much to the exact day. So again, like in the inverse to everything I'm talking about here in this cycle, of course, when it comes to the bear market, we're going to have a pretty good idea of when the lows are likely going to be in. So while we're trying to time the top or when it's possibly time to get out, we're also going to be able to use the same tools in reverse to know when the bottom's in to buy our Bitcoin. We have a full plan and strategy coming up here, of course, in the next 12 or so months, given this all plays out as intended. Now, we can also see this blue line here. The blue line, of course, is the 4-year moving average. We do see in a bear market, this does touch. It actually went under in the previous cycle thanks to FTX, thanks to Luna and all the rest of it that did combine with the US banking debacle. It actually pushed us under, so we are nowhere near this line. And what I did notice was if we compare the two cycles, we're actually pretty much somewhere in this green box right now, believe it or not, okay? So again, we are tracking completely fine here to have that massive sort of last blow off top 12 months of the 4-year cycle. We can also see if we do compare in terms of time frame, the time frame, like I said, in January here, this is the 4-year cycle yet again. We do have a sort of minor blip, a minor blip, a minor blip before that massive sort of blow off top moment. Now, again, the last cycle here was something different. It was a little weird. I do believe we were intended to have a blow off top moment sometime over here rather than have this initial push. Again, I don't want to get into that specific stuff today. It is important to talk about, but I've mentioned it many times before on the channel. I think what I'll leave it on here, and before I get into my personal take on things, is the MVRVZ score. This is actually one of the many scores used in the CBBI indicator here, MVRVZ you can see here. And this is an important one to have a look at in my personal opinion, because as you can see, we've pretty much always had a mid-cycle pump, right? A mid-cycle rally every single time. The last 3 cycles, boom, 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 okay? What does this mean? Well, this shows here a score of 2 in which we usually hit and immediately come back down. The next time we breach this score, you can see here, here, and here, we have a massive run to the all-time high, okay? So this usually happens again mid-cycle, roughly mid-cycle, roughly mid-cycle, and it did happen here again roughly mid-cycle. We have breached this. We actually called this on the channel when it actually happened in real time. And again, whether we come back down to it or not, I don't care, because again, from this point, we do have that blow off top, which of course we have yet to have. That was the mid-cycle rally. It's all still to come. So ultimately, now's the time to buy. If this didn't make any sense to you, buy now, all right? Non-financial advice, of course. You can do what you want with your money. The market could go to 0 tomorrow. It could go to 85K.